local TV station, but RBGH stands for recombinant bovine growth hormone. Milk and other dairy products with RBGH are banned in Europe and Canada, but ever since 1993, RBGH has been approved in the US by the FDA.
Hello everyone, another edition of the Out of the Market, and today we're talking about Trump's interest in wanting to get more milk into Canada, more American milk, and much of the media has focused on primarily on the extent to which Trump is seeking to erode and destroy the Canadian dairy industry, which is being produced by what is commonly referred to as supply management, which critically protects our dairy industry from being undermined by huge American conglomerate, milk producers that can easily destroy the Canadian dairy industry. So this Trump wants to do is to remove the restrictions on Americans, these American conglomerates taking over, buying out, and destroying the Canadian dairy industry that has been with us since before Canada was officially created as a country in Confederation. But there's more to it than that in terms of supply management. This video that we're kind of referring to right now talks about bovine growth hormones. Now, aside from supply management, we definitely don't want bovine growth hormones in our milk supply. Bovine growth hormones has been banned in Canada and the United States. It's a hormone used to make cows produce more milk that is being used in the United States, but it has all sorts of extremely bad health repercussions, and this is what Trump is trying to get into the Canadian food supply. We'll just continue with this video bit.
Are you kidding me?
This particular growth hormone was developed by Monsanto to increase milk output from cows. In order to avoid consuming dairy with RBGH, it's best to go organic. And fortunately, according to the American Cancer Society, cows are now less frequently exposed to the hormone, and even the country's largest grocery store chains, including Walmart, are refusing to sell dairy that contains RBGH.
Well, let's not overestimate the ability of American supermarkets to thwart these milk coming into Canada, American milk. I've tasted American milk myself, and I can tell you that American milk doesn't even taste like Canadian milk. American milk, in my view, does not taste that good. And in fact, most Americans don't even drink milk. When I go to the States, I don't know what your experience is, but when I go to the States, the primary people that I see drinking milk is families, young families that have babies or young children, and they use it sometimes for their cereal. But Americans don't drink milk like Canadians because Canadian milk, and probably because of cultural differences, but Canadian milk tastes way better than American milk. American milk tastes flat and not very good. It just doesn't taste good. Canadian milk, by comparison, almost tastes like a mild version of vanilla ice cream. It's much better because our milk supply is of much better quality. This bovine hormone is all over the American milk supply, and if we don't continue to protect our supply management, and protect our dairy industry, we're going to be importing all kinds of nasty bovine infested milk in our milk supply that causes all kinds of cancers, apparently, thyroid problems, all kinds of health problems, and it's a Monsanto product. And we all know what Monsanto has been doing across the world. No need to elaborate on that. You can do the research yourself, but bovine growth hormone is a Monsanto product, and they do all kinds of things that I won't bother getting into because of the format, the medium that we're using to broadcast this, but you can do your own homework on Monsanto. So we don't want that milk coming into Canada. So that's what's at risk here. If you're interested in this topic of bovine growth hormone and what Mr. Trump is trying to do, destroy the Canadian industry so that he can get all that nasty Monsanto stuff coming into Canada with bovine growth hormone. Of course, the United States don't care about the health supply like us. In Canada, we are much more stringent upon what we sell. If you go to an American supermarket, you see all kinds of nasty stuff in there. You have great products, a whole diversity of products, but a whole lot of nasty stuff they didn't allow into Canada. because it's just not good for you. You know, United States, they're okay with things that are nice and shiny looking. We're not so interested in nice and shiny looking stuff. We're interested in quality. You know, even the junk food in Canada tends to be a lot better. You know, if you go to McDonald's Canada versus McDonald's United States, you're going to be running into a lot better quality ingredients. Even our fast food that has similar company names to United States and Canada is because the Canadians, we have tighter restrictions in terms of what can sell. In the United States, you can just sell just about anything and put all kinds of nastiness in it, and that's why Americans have, by comparison, more health problems than, you know, United States. Their predatory pharmaceutical companies just prey on people getting sick, so they put all kinds of nastiness in their products, and then when they get sick, they just push them into these, you know, expensive healthcare plans. If they can't afford that, you know, Americans are paying for, you know, all sorts of money for stuff they don't necessarily need, and their food, because it's being pushed by these companies like Monsanto. And, you know, RFK Jr. is trying to change this. He's multiple times referred to how Canadians are tighter in their products, and he wants to make Americans more healthy. That's great for him. At least, you know, RFK is a positive light as far as, you know, trying to make Americans more healthy. But we don't want that nastiness in the Canadian food supply, just like how Americans have had cloned meat in their food supply too. We recently in Canada reasserted our ban on that. Trump apparently is banning, you know, that nastiness was already floating in the American food supply, these cloned meat. I don't know how sincere that is, but I'm sure, you know, but once it's out there, it's hard to control the resale of that cloned meat business. But aside from that, you know, bovine growth hormone we don't want. Look it up. You know that bovine growth hormone is no good for anybody, and is floating around in American food supply and American milk. As I say, try it yourself. Next time you go south of the border, it does not taste very good compared to Canadian milk. Canadian milk tastes 100 times way better. So we need to protect our dairy farmers so they continue to produce a high quality milk, that it doesn't mess up their cows. That, you know, not only does it's dangerous for human consumption, is no good for the cow's health either. So we need to protect our cows. We need to protect our human beings from this nastiness from Trump with his trying to strip away all our Canadian sovereignty under protection, so he can bring Canadians down to the level of Americans with bad quality products, including milk. So if you're interested in this video of, you know, this and learning more about, you know, bovine growth hormone, like and subscribe, and I'll be getting into more details of what Trump's trying to do with CUSMA, based upon my experience and expertise in free trade. I've studied free trade since the 80s. I've been involved with free trade since, you know, John Turner said it would, you know, it would take us to the becoming a U.S. colony. We don't want that. John Turner's words were quite prophetic. So if you're interested in knowing more about bovine growth hormone, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching another edition of The Auto Market, and let's keep American milk as far away from Canada as we can. Thanks for watching.